What happens if we get Trump back? Just switching gears a little bit here. Once you imagine we have the next elections, was that 2025? January? Trump's president.
Mm-hmm.
Does the world fall apart?
The world?
The world.
World is probably too complicated to fall apart immediately, but it would be there'd just be a lot of bad things that would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How? I mean, we survived the last Trump term.
Yep.
Do you think we would survive the next Trump term?
I don't think we would come out of it the same.
No?
I think we've barely come out of... I don't think we came out of the last one the same.
Yeah. Meaning that we would be more of an authoritarian, fascist government.
Meaning that, you know how people have yanked the genocide chain so much on the Gaza, or the famine chain so much on the Gaza, that when people say they're on the verge of a famine, it doesn't seem like it's that different than it was before, but it is significantly different. Right now, the hunger situations in Gaza are significantly different than they were before. I don't think George Bush or even McConnell were anything remotely approaching fascism. But I think Trump is a fully fascist leader. And I think that the majority of the people that support him would be fully on board for a fascist regime. That changed after Trump was elected and finished his one term of presidency. So that's kind of scary. Like January 6th, all the talking points, no Republican will acknowledge this now, but all the talking points are January 6th was supposed to be a Democrat event. Because Republicans don't go out and riot. They don't go out and protest against the government. They don't disrespect cops. They don't disrespect rule of law. When they lose elections, they go to work the next day because they're not babies. They respect the process. That was supposed to be the Republican position, but clearly that changed like dramatically. So yeah, I don't know what it would look like after one more Trump presidency. I think it would actually be meaningfully bad. I think that Trump's presidency on its own was worse than most reasonable people would have expected it to be. I don't think anybody would have expected it to be quite as ridiculous as it was.
I mean, it was bad, and I think he tried to do a lot of crazy.
I don't think it was just bad. I think it was unbelievable.
Well, I think somewhat the guardrails kept us in reality,
It's not about the guardrails. You don't expect somebody to keep the guardrails.
Yeah.
You don't expect to touch stuff.
I don't
and not
think
all the guardrails held. The thing with Ukraine, it's sad because Trump did so much ridiculous, but the thing with Ukraine and Zelensky, that was wild. I think that aid was delayed for almost 2 months or 55 days while Donald Trump was asking Zelensky if they were going to be investigating his political opponent's son's investments in a company there. That's an unfathomably crazy... Like, everything that the conservatives dream that Biden is doing with the DOJ, Trump actually did with the DOJ, or Trump actually did with foreign policy, or Trump actually did to other politicians. Like, that's just wild. But, you know... Especially now, imagine Trump being in charge of Israel-Palestine, or Trump being in charge of trying to close out Ukraine-Russia. What does that look like?
I mean, it would be crazy.
I think it also undermines the confidence, the world confidence in the American people, because our democracy is truly a representation of...
It's very frustrating to not have people under, like, even 60 years old running for office. Like, I don't understand where this is coming from. I mean, actually, I do. It's because old people vote. Mm-hmm. Young people don't matter.
Because they don't vote.
Yeah, young people don't matter. Like if you're under 30, I guess 30 maybe is a good cutoff point there. You just don't matter at the end of the day because you don't vote. You don't go out there and you don't do it. So you. Senior citizens vote because they don't have to do, and they decide elections. Literally at the end of the day. So all we get is like these geriatric older people deciding our future. Who would you prefer to be running on the Republican ticket and the Democratic ticket, if you could?
I mean, I don't like to say, like, I can say names that feel good, but it could be that if I dug into either of these people, it would be horrible. But
just
I would say,
cuff.
Gavin Newsom versus Nikki Haley would be an interesting...
I think so.
Like,
that's exactly who I would say as well.
Yeah, but I haven't done like deep dives into either of their policies.
Sure, but that's also the same thing for me. I think that's exactly what we should be having is people that still have their faculties about them, that are still like in this century, you know, that weren't born when horse and carriages were going around and like that. Absolutely. I think there was a lot of even Democratic support for Nikki Haley if she was going to be at that point versus Biden. I feel like if it comes down to a Trump versus Biden, there's just no way that Trump wins, I think.
I wouldn't say there's no way, but I think Biden has an advantage. But
I think it's extremely unlikely that Trump has any standing whatsoever to win.
If none of his cases progress...
Even if none of his cases progress...
That's why... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
regardless of what happens with any of his cases.
Okay, if Biden has a stroke tomorrow, you think Biden still beats Trump?
That certainly.
If Trump is exonerated of 2 of his cases tomorrow, does Biden still beat Trump?
Yes.
If they come out in New York and they say, we're dropping all the charges, in one of those cases, it would be a landslide victory for Trump. If New York comes out and they said, we made a big mistake, we shouldn't have done any of these steps, we're dropping all charges, Trump wins 55-45, easy. No. Absolutely. He runs away with it. It wouldn't be close.
It doesn't matter.
It would energize the Republicans so much in this country that, oh my God, all these fake charges, and the Democrats would be so depressed in terms of like turnout, it would be over.
There is no shot. If Trump wins on any of those cases that he has going on,
I didn't say win. I said if they drop the charges.
Even if they drop the charges, I don't think he's going to win.
Okay.
There's just, you know why?
Why?
It's going to come down to one thing, is that the American public remembers how it was every day having to understand politics and know just... I remember the reason to vote for Biden wasn't even Biden's policy. It was just tired of every day being a show, being some crazy scenario.
We have perspective about
that, but people remember that, and they don't want to go back to every day is like the world is about to fall apart.
I disagree. It's completely not true.
Okay.
I think that we have that feeling, but I think it's important to remember that in that election, Biden got more votes than any presidential candidate in history, but second place was Trump that year. He was second in all the history of all the votes that have ever gone out. So did Biden win the election? Yeah, sure. Did he win it by millions of votes? Yeah, sure. But it's not like it was because people were like, oh, Trump, we're tired of this guy. This, let's move on. It was because the Democratic side happened to be energized enough. But I just think it's important to keep in mind. It's not like people are like, oh, this guy, let's move him over 40-60 landslide for Biden. It's still a close race electoral college wise. But
I mean, it is something that Biden seems kind of out of touch, I guess, with reality. Like he tries the memes and like that, but Trump is still, even though Trump is like, we all know that Trump is less than Biden. Biden just seems like so.
This is why I want them to debate more, and I could be wrong.
I'm scared. To have that debate, I feel like it would almost be bad because Trump is like a crazy grandpa, but at least he can make like jokes like,
I disagree.
Sleepy
this
Joe
is why,
and
because
shit.
you think that. This is why I want them to have those debates.
Yeah.
I think Biden is still slower mentally than he's declined. That's true. I think Trump has declined a lot in the past 4 to 5 years. I think if you look at his old speeches, his old rallies, and you compare him to today, I think he still has a bit more energy than Biden, but I think he's significantly slowed from where he was 4 or 5 years ago. I think he is slower. And I don't think he's going to go on that stage and be as funny and charismatic and charming as he was when he was like during the Republican primaries and stuff. I don't think he's going to have that same energy.
I mean, I guess we'll see.
And Biden is about the same as he was 4 years ago, where people think he's like, he's pretty, like kind of up or whatever, blah, 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 But like seeing Trump, like if Biden went from like, if 0 to 100 is like 100 is you got all your mental acumen about you. If Biden is like 50 now, he was like 55 before. But if Trump was like 80 now, he's like 65 now. And even if Trump is still ahead of Biden, I think the significant difference between Trump then and now, I feel like people notice. But I could be wrong. We'll see. That's why we'll see how the debates go. Yeah.
All right. Do you think there'll even be debates?
There has to be.
There doesn't have to be.
Why does there not? Who's going to dodge them?
Biden or Trump will each have their own reasoning for not doing it. It'd probably be Trump, like, oh, I'm not going to do it because Biden's, only trying to have it at the liberal. I guarantee you.
Trump, he lost the last election. He has to. He's still fighting from behind. As much as people delude themselves, they're like, oh, he's winning.
I'll
he
bet
has
you.
to have debates. Okay, $100 that debates will happen.
That debates will happen.
They will, yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And I think the reasoning will be, one of them will come up with some reasoning for why it's not going to happen.
Okay.
Meaning, like,
there you go. Well, you got 2 ways to win, either Biden or Trump pulling out. But I think $100.
That's like the easiest $100 I'll make. Biden will just be like, "There's no reason to debate this guy. He's like, he's a terrorist."
Doesn't matter. He has to.
He doesn't have to.
Okay, we'll see. He absolutely has to.
One of them won't do it, and they'll come up with a reasoning. But we'll see.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye. Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.